Alright, welcome back to the Crabby Dice. Today we're going to be looking at First Class. So the theme for this game, we're sort of railroad entrepreneurs and we're trying to have the most luxurious railroad line there is to score the most points. Alright, so this is going to be the setup and rules video. Click on the link below for my review and playthrough. And 3 things before we start. Please like, subscribe, and comment on my YouTube channel. That would be fantastic. Let's get started. Alright, so First Class is a card game, so that's why you see a lot of cards on the table, but we're going to start off by setting up the scoreboard first. So each player is going to take one of their conductors, put it on the 0 space of the point track, and you're going to put all your cubes on the side of the point track as well. Alright, next you're going to have your coins, your railroad cards next to them. Just as a reminder, they are all double-sided, so I like to put one version of the card on the top of the stack so they know that cards go from 0, 1, 2, 4, 7, and 12. Alright, your locomotive tiles, your Constantinople tile, and your first player tiles are going to be right on the side of the board. And now finally we're going to set up our decks for the game. Alright, so the game is going to last sort of 3 eras, 6 rounds, and every second round is a new era, so you're gonna have sort of era 1, 2, and 3, and they are all color coded. Okay, so you have your base cards which all have an X, and you're gonna use these in every single game. Alright, next you're gonna choose 2 different modules from the game box. They're all explained in the module guide. For this example, I'm gonna use A's and B's. Alright, you're gonna go through the A's and B's, and again you're gonna look at the era cards, and you're gonna shuffle them into the base cards. So you're going to use the green cards for both stacks and shuffle them into the 1. You're going to take the blue cards from both and shuffle them into the 2. And you're going to take the 3 of both and shuffle them into the red. Alright, once you give them a good shuffle, leave them in separate stacks on the side of the board. We're going to be refilling the whole play area later in the game. So this is going to be the 2s, the 3s. Remember to shuffle them pretty well because the cards do get stuck together. And finally, you are going to shuffle all the 1s together. And we're going to lay out our initial game board. Alright, after giving it a good shuffle, you're going to set up the board. You're always going to have 3 rows of 6 cards each every single time. Alright, so just to make this a little quick. You're going to leave the rest of the cards again, just like the 2s and the 3s on the side of the board over here. Alright, and now we're going to deal with the game end cards. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to hand the last player the number of cards equal to the amount of players plus 1. So in a 3-player game, you're going to hand them 4 cards. They're going to take one of these end game objectives. So let's say you took this one. Then in reverse turn order, you're all going to take one. So second player is going to take one. And then finally, first player is going to take one. The one that was left over is going to get shuffled back into the deck. Everyone's going to place their card into their bottom left discard area right over here. You can put it face down. And now we're going to talk about everyone's sort of tableau play area. So everyone's going to get a player mat here or board. You're going to get 4 male cards of your own color. You're going to tell by the icons in the top right and left. Everyone's going to get a 0 railroad card on both tracks up here. You're going to take them from the general supply. You're going to add a conductor to the bottom and top one here. Your locomotive is going to start right over here. Finally, you're going to figure out who first player is and give them this marker here. And before I forget, everyone's going to get a $1, and it's always going to start right over here in this spot. Alright, we're almost done. The last thing to do is for all player counts, you're going to take the game end cards as well and flip over 4 cards. Alright, you're going to put this deck near the side of the board, and you're ready to start. So let's go to rules. Alright, rules time here for First Class. So the core mechanism in this game, you can sort of call it communal drafting. Alright, you have your huge tableau of cards out in the middle of the table on your turn. So starting with the first player, working your way clockwise, you're going to take one of the cards, you're going to activate it, you're going to discard it, and then you're going to move on to the next player. Alright, it's going to keep looping around the table till everyone's taken 3 cards, and that'll end the round. Alright, the unique mechanism going on here is a couple of things. First, cards don't get replenished automatically. Alright, so when somebody takes a card, nothing actually happens. Cards get replenished when the amount of cards taken in a row equal the number of players. Alright, so let's just say first player took this card, second player took this card, and third player took this card. Now that 3 cards were taken in a 3-player game, you're going to discard the rest of the cards in that row, and you're going to refill it from the stack from the same era. Alright, this happens for all 3 rows. the same way. All right. Now let's talk about the round structure here. The game's gonna last exactly 6 rounds every time, no matter the player count. You're gonna spend 2 rounds per era. Okay, and what you're gonna do at the end of round 2, 4, and 6, you're gonna sort of have a special scoring slash, board reset phase where you're gonna score a ton of points and sort of just cycle out all the cards so you can move on to the next era. Alright, so the way I'm going to sort of formulate this video is first we're going to talk about the basic actions that are going to be in every game because of the X cards, and then after I'm going to go into a section where I explain all the special rules for all the other modules in the game. Alright, so and then at the end I'm going to talk about all the scoring stuff. Alright, so let's get started. Alright, so the first icon slash action we're going to talk about is the gathering new level 0 cards and the upgrade action. So you can see with this card here, for example, when there's an arrow going to a 0, it means grabbing more level 0 rail cards and adding them to your track. And if there's an arrow in between 2 cards, it means upgrade that type of railroad card into the new type on the right. Alright, so for example here it says take 2 level 0 cards. So that's what I'll do. I'll take 2 more of these. And whenever you add level 0 cards to your railroad, you do have 2 tracks, right? And you can split them up however you like. You can put both on one, either the top or the bottom, or you can split them up. Right? They're 2 separate actions. So, for example, I can do this if I wanted to, or put 1 on each. Now, the upgrade action, just do what it says. It says raise a level 0 into a level 1. So now the way these work is you must have the value on the left. So we all have zeros on our board, so that would be pretty simple. The only rules you need to follow is that the cards to the left of the one you're trying to upgrade must always be at a higher level than the one you're upgrading. So for example, you can't upgrade this one to a 1 because then you have a 0 to the left, which is of a lower value, right? So if I need to upgrade a 1, I can either do this one or I can do this one. So for example, I could do this one. Just flip it over. Now the cards are all double-sided. Zeros go to a 1. If you upgrade a 1 to a 2, you just replace the card. You put the card back and you take a 2. A 2 to a 4, you just flip it over. A 4 to a 7, again, discard the 4. You'll pick up a 7. And then 7 to a 12, you just flip it over and it'll be a 12. Alright, that's how upgrading works. Just a couple of notes. There could be an upgrade with a question mark. That just means upgrade any number into the following level. So if it was a 2, you'll upgrade it to a 4, and if it was a 7, you'll upgrade it to a 12, and if it was a 1, you'll upgrade it to a 2, for example. Alright, the next icon slash action to talk about is the moving the conductor action. So they come in 2 flavors. You'll either see both conductors on the card or 1 conductor. If you see both, it means move both of them that many arrow spaces. So here it says move both 2 spaces to the right. So I'm going to go to my board and I'm going to move them both 2 spaces to the right. So it's going to go 1, 2. And this one, of course, I don't have 2 cards, so he's only going to move once. Alright, this is still legal. He can't move to the next one. Now, if there were 3 arrows, this one would stop and this one would move on again. Now, if it was an example with just a 1 conductor on the card, you're going to move a combination of both conductors that many spaces. So let's just say, for example, I had a card that had 3 arrows on it but only 1 conductor. I can move them both a combination of 3, so I can go 1, 2, 3, for example. Again, after you finish with the card and perform its action, don't forget to discard it in your discard pile. Alright, next we're going to talk about expanding your route and locomotive cards. So expanding your route are any card that has sort of this desert background here. So what you're going to do with these cards is you're going to expand your route where your locomotive is riding. So this one's, for example, is going to keep expanding the route. So every card you get is just going to keep going to the left and to the left and to the left. Right. The other card we need to talk about is moving your locomotive. So that's with the train icon with the arrows. So the arrows will tell you how many spaces the locomotive is going to move. So in this example here, it moves 2. So you just follow the tracks. You go 1, 2. Just a couple of notes. If you land on or pass your point values here, you're going to gain those points right away on the point track. And these watches basically mean at the end of the era, so at the end of round 2, 4, and 6, you're going to get the bonus indicated below that card. So for example, this one is always 2 coins, and this one, for example, is move your conductors 1 space each. Alright, next we're going to talk about contract cards. So these are the green clipboard cards, and for these ones you don't actually ever discard them right away. You're going to add them to your tableau. So I like to put them in this row over here. And the way these work is anytime during your turn or the scoring phase, pretty much any time in the game, if you satisfy the requirement at the top, you can then discard this card to activate the part at the bottom. So this one says if I have 2 level 2 railroad cars, so anywhere in my tableau over here, I can discard this card and gain 3 level 0 train cards from the general supply. So if I were to do that, then I'd finally discard it when I satisfy the card. Alright, and the next action is, instead of taking any card from the tableau here, you can be first player by taking the first player token here. Alright, the first player is going to change hands at the end of the current round. So they're going to sort of pass this first player marker at the end of the round, and then you'll return this chit back into the general supply, let's just say. Now, 2 things are going to happen when you take this tile. First is you're going to look at the tableau, and the highest, most leftist card, upper left card, you're going to basically discard from the game. You'll toss it back into the game box. Now, the second thing that's going to happen is you're going to have a little payout. Alright, so the person that took this tile is going to get 2 golds from the general supply. The person after him is going to get nothing. The person after him is going to get a level 0 railroad card to add to his tableau. And finally, the new 4th player has to choose between getting a level 0 rail card or upgrading a level 0 into a level 1. So flipping over a level 0 into a level 1. Alright, next let's talk about coins. How do you get them and how do you spend them? So getting coins, pretty simple. Whenever you see a coin icon, whether drafting a card, activating an effect during the scoring phase and all that stuff, you're just going to take coins from the general supply and add them to your player board. Alright, so just as an example, let's say I drafted this card, which is just take 2 coins. I'll take 2 coins. I would discard my card, of course. Then I would add these 2 coins to my player board. Alright, when adding coins to your player board, you always add to the leftmost column first until it's filled up, and then you work to the right. So in this example, I would have to put 1 coin up here, and then I would put a coin over here. Alright, so the only way that a coin fills up one of these 2 spots is if you completely fill up the second column. Alright, so that's how you get coins. Now, how do you use coins? Alright, so using coins is a free action on your turn during your scoring phase. You can pretty much do it whenever you want. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to either activate a special power down here, or you're going to activate a power over here. Alright, so let's go through these powers in order. If you spend a coin in this column here, you're going to take a level 0 rail card and add it to your tableau. So get a level 0, add it to my tableau. Alright, if you spend one of them in the second column here, so let's say I spend this coin here, you get to either move your locomotive 1 spot or move 1 conductor 1 spot. So I can move this guy here, or I can move this locomotive to the next spot. Now, if I had a coin over here, if you spend one of these 2 coins, you have a sort of free upgrade, any number to any number. So that's why you see a question mark. So you just follow the upgrade path. So if it was a 2, you'd go to a 4. If it was a 4, you'd go to a 7. If it was a 7, you'd go to a 12, for example. In this scenario here, I can turn the 0 into a 1, or I can turn this 1 into a 2, for example. Alright, the last 2 things you can do with coins is, here you go. So you can spend coins for straight up victory points. You'll basically just do this at the end of the game. And the last option that you have is on your turn, you can spend 4 coins. So the coins can come in any combination of columns when you spend these coins. And you'll take another end game card. So these are the cards that we sort of gave out at the beginning of the game. They're displayed over here. And when you take one of these cards, a couple of things are going to happen. First, you're going to activate the power below in the gray section here. So for example, this one is upgrade one of your level 0 rail cards into a level 1. Alright, and then this is the end game scoring that's going to give you at the end of the game. You're just going to take this card, and you're going to add it to your discard pile over here so that you can count up the points at the end of the game. Alright, those are basically the 5 things that you can do with coins in the game. Alright, next we're going to talk about a couple of rules that are sort of tied in with the rail cards when you're building them on your tracks. Okay, so there's the mail cards, there's the locomotive tiles, and there's the Constantinople tile. Alright, we're going to start with the mail cards, and you're going to see on the top right of each of them, there's a 6. Basically, when you lay out your 5th card of each row, you're going to end up putting a mail card right away and activating the bonus. So for example here, let's say this one wasn't here yet. So I have 4 cards. Let's say I did an action that added another level 0 rail card here. Alright, now that I have 5 in a row, the 6 is going to activate. I get to take any of these cards, add it to the row, and activate the power. Alright, the powers are pretty self-evident. This one just gives you 2 coins. This one allows you to move your locomotive 2 spaces. This one allows you to move both conductors 2 spaces to the right. And this one allows you to do 2 upgrades of level 0 to level 1. Alright, and they stay on the board. So you do have 4 cards. Keep in mind you only have 2 lines of tracks, so you're going to end up using only 2 cards throughout the game, and the other 2 you can pretty much toss back into the box once you've played both. The locomotive tiles pretty much work the same way, but instead of the 6th card, it's going to be the 10th card. Alright, so the first person to do is going to get the first tile, then the second person going to get the second tile, so on and so on. Because you have 2 lines as well, you can get the 2 of these tiles right away as well. Alright, and what happens is you're going to place this at the end of the line. You're going to see the 10 over here on the top right. And let's just pretend there was 9 cards here in a row. You'll just add this to the end to signify that's the 10th card. And then again, just like the mail cards, you're going to activate this section at the bottom. Alright, all of them say either 1 upgrade or 2 upgrades. So this one is a double upgrade, so I can upgrade 1 card twice or 2 different cards 1 time each. Remember just to follow the upgrade path like usual. You can upgrade a 2 to a 4, a 4 to a 7, a 7 to a 12, or upgrade a 4 directly to a 12, right? 2 upgrades. Alright, and the last thing to talk about is the Constantinople tile here. So this scores when somebody moves their conductor onto one of these level 10 rail cards or tiles. Alright, so just as an example, let's say there were 9 different cards, and you're moving your conductor along the line and you reach the 10th spot on the rail line. Alright, when you do that, what you're going to do is you're going to take one of your scoring markers and you're going to add it to the highest available spot on this card. So let's say you were the first person to do it. It says 20 points, and you're going to score 20 points on the point track right away. The next person to accomplish this, let's say it's green, is going to add their token here and they're going to score 10 points, and the person after that is going to score, it could be the same player actually, because remember you do have 2 lines, so you can have both conductors reach the 10th spot on both of your lines, and red would score 5 points right away on the track. Alright, now we're going to talk about the end of rounds. Alright, so there's 2 different scenarios that can happen. During rounds 1, 3, and 5, the odd numbered rounds, what you're going to do is, since you're in the same era, you're just going to do 2 steps. You're going to refill the tableau for all the missing spaces, so refill the tableau. You'll always have 4 cards left over, you can toss them back in the box. And next you're going to figure out who the next first player is. Whoever has this tile, you're going to pass them the first player marker. Alright. If nobody has taken that tile during the game round, then the first player stays the same. Okay. Now things are going to be different during the even numbered round. So 2, 4, and 6. What you're going to do is you're going to be changing eras. Alright, so you have an extra step. So the first thing you're going to do is completely remove all the cards from the tableau and toss them back in the box. You're going to lay out 18 more cards from the next era. Alright, and then you're going to do a special scoring. Alright, the scoring is basically 2 steps. Alright, first you're going to score your routes. Okay, easy enough. You're just going to look at where your locomotive has reached on your track over here. And all of these watches that he has passed, you're going to score the bonuses at the bottom here. And you get to decide the order in case that matters. Alright, in this example, it won't really make a difference the order, so I'll just take 2 coins from the general supply, and then I can move my train twice and get a level 0 upgrade. So I'm going to take one of these level 0 cards, I'll get 2 coins, and I'll move up my locomotive twice. Just as a general note, you must complete all of one card before moving to another bonus. Alright, after you've done that, the second thing you're going to score is all the rail cards in your tableau. So in this example, I don't have that many points. I'm just going to score 2 points. I'm going to get them on the track there, and I'm pretty much done. You're going to do that for all the players, the route, and the points, and you're going to add them to the track. Alright, and finally we're going to talk about end game scoring. Okay, so after that third round scoring, where you're going to calculate your routes and your cars, you're going to go through your discard deck. You're going to organize all the cards by type, and finally you're going to take out your end game scoring cards, which are these yellow golden ones that you have drafted during the game or paid for. Okay, so the way these work is you're going to go throughout your whole discard pile, and you're going to find the cards that match the types over here. So these are conductor cards, you can pretty much show by the picture. And these are the rail card icons, which are the bluish background over here. Right? For each of those type of cards, these are how many points they're worth. So each conductor card I drafted during the game is going to be worth 3 points. And each rail card that I drafted during the game is going to be worth 4 points. So each of these count as a multiplier. All right, if I had another one that was a 1, each railroad card would be 5 points, for example. Alright, you're going to calculate that, you're going to add it to your score. And finally, every single coin you have left over, you're just going to translate it into a point. So here I'll get 4 extra points. You're going to add that to your score. And whoever has the most points after all of that is going to win the game. Alright, now I'm going to go into all the modules and the specific rules that are in effect per module. Alright, module 1 is probably the simplest. It's just a whole deck full of contracts. Alright, there's some coin cards in there, but it's mostly all contracts. So go to my section that explain contracts and you'll figure out how this deck works. Alright, module B is called celebrities and postcards, and these cards are just a way of doubling your bonuses during scoring rounds. Alright, so what's going to happen is if you have a celebrity, you're going to end up putting them on your train. Alright, and they're going to go to the far left of either of your tracks, and they're going to get tied to a rail card, and they're going to basically double the points that that train's going to score during the scoring round. Alright, that's how celebrities work. And the postcards work pretty much the same way. You're going to tie them together with a route card, slide it like this, and during the scoring round you're going to get twice the route bonus when scoring the card. Just a couple of notes: you can't play this card on your original first stop. So for example, you can't play this card here, and it must go underneath a future route card. Alright, and you can only have one celebrity per cart. You can't stack up celebrities, but you can add them multiple times on the same row. So I can have a celebrity here, and then I can have a celebrity here, and then you just slide them underneath. Alright, module C is called First Class Murder. Alright, for this one you have some extra components. You have the evidence tiles and you have the whodunit cards. Alright, first what you're going to do is before you start the game, face down you're going to shuffle these cards, and then you're going to give one to every single player. And these cards will tell you if you're the murderer or if you're an innocent person. Alright. Now, during the game, nothing changes. Alright, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be playing these new cards, and some of them tell you to take evidence tokens, and some of them say give evidence tokens to all the other players. Alright. Whenever you gain evidence or give it out to other people, you can look at them, but don't reveal them just yet. You're going to keep them face down in front of you, and you'll be collecting these fingerprints or points or special powers. Okay, and then you're just going to play like normal. Alright, just with the extra evidence type things. Alright. You must do the top part to get the bonus at the bottom. So for example, you must take an evidence token to activate the power at the bottom. Now, what happens at the end of the game, that's where the interesting part happens. Alright, the first thing you're going to do is everyone's going to reveal themselves, and whoever is the murderer is going to flip over 2 more evidence tokens. So with how many evidence tokens that they had, let's say they had 4, they'll take 2 more from the general supply, and then everyone's going to flip over their evidence tokens. Alright, if you had a point value, you'll score points on the general board here. If you had one of these remove evidence tokens, you can take any other evidence token that you have and discard them both. And then what you're going to do is everyone's going to, around the table, is going to count how many fingerprint tokens they have. Now the person with the most fingerprints is eliminated from the game and they cannot win. Alright? If it was the murderer who was caught, nothing special happens, he's eliminated. We'll see who has the most points between all the bystanders. Now, if one of the bystanders was caught, so let's say this fellow over here had the most fingerprints, what's going to happen is he's eliminated from the game, so that player, and the murderer, because he got away, is going to score an extra 20 points. And that's basically how the module works. You're going to play at the end, whoever has the most is going to get eliminated, and maybe the murderer will score extra points or not. Alright, module D is called Passengers and Luggage. And the way this works is if you draft one of these cards, these are going to slide under or above your rail cards. Again, just like celebrities, they're going to go to the far left possible. Alright, some cards you can only have as luggage, some you can only have as passengers, but some of them you can choose when you draft the card whether to have it as a passenger or a luggage. So I'll show you with this example. So you're going to take the card, and if you want it as a passenger, you're going to slide it above, again, the farthest left card that's unavailable, and you're going to leave the red marker available. Alright, you do the exact same thing with luggage, but instead of putting them at the top, you're going to put them at the bottom here. Now, the way to score these cards is at any point, if you have that cart or railroad card at level 1 and your conductor is on it or past it, then you're going to score the card right away. So let's talk about passengers first. So what you're going to do to score the card, you're going to slide it down and you're going to do a couple of things. First, there's a one-time bonus that you're going to get. So in this example here, I'll get another level 0 card and add it to my row. Alright, after you get that bonus, you're going to score the coins that are above the card. Alright, so I'm going to take one coin in this example from the general supply and add it to my tableau down here. Alright, now, if you have multiple passengers, you always score an extra coin for every passenger that's already been seated. So for example, if I put a passenger here and I would satisfy the requirement by having it at least a level 1 and my conductor's there, then I would get the coins on the card plus one extra coin because of the passenger. You always get plus 1. So if it was here, you get plus 1 and plus 1, so you get plus 2, and if it was this one, you get plus 3, for example. Luggage works the exact same way, but you know, using points instead of coins. So again, this one, it would not get flipped over until I flip over this card, because remember, the requirement is always having at least a level 1 rail card there. Alright, when that happens and my conductor's past it, I'll get the bonus. This is the exact same bonus. I get a level 0 added to one of my rail lines here. And next, you're going to score the points. Alright, so this is score 2 points. You're going to get 2 points on the point track. Alright, and just like the coins, every subsequent card that you put on is going to give you plus 2. Alright, so my next luggage card here, when I flip over the 0 into a 1, is going to be 2 points plus 2 points. And then my next one is going to be 2 points plus 2 points plus 2 points, for example. And lastly, module E is called Switches and Mechanics. So there's two types of cards that you'll encounter in this deck. There's the switches, which are the ones with the 2 arrows like this, and there's the mechanics, which have a bonus at the bottom, and then they have 2 arrows with an up and a down pointing. So these cards actually sit in between 2 cards in your row over here. So they're going to be actually in the middle over here. So for example, you can place a card here, or you can place a card between any cards that you want. You can even place a card even if your sort of rail lines haven't even reached that point yet. For example, I could put it here, but maybe it wouldn't make any sense, so let's just say I put it here. Alright, these are called switches, and the way they work is just like passengers and all those things. You're gonna have a requirement in the middle. So for this one, it says have your conductor pass it and have the rail card there equal a 2. So for example, this switch here is pointing to this one here. So this bonus would be activated because it satisfies the requirement in the middle. But this one here points to this one here, and it doesn't satisfy the requirement, so it won't activate the bonus. Now all these switches always affect the scoring phases. All right, so that's why you see the watch, just like the routes here. And during scoring, if you satisfy what's in the middle, you're going to get the points indicated there. So for example, this will give me 5 points, and this will give me 0 because I didn't satisfy it here. Alright, the other card that you'll encounter are the mechanisms. So if you draft one of these cards, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to get the bonus indicated at the bottom here. So I'm going to get to move my locomotive 2 spots, for example. And then, just like the switches, you get to add them anywhere in between 2 cards. So let's just say I put them like this. And these are sort of one-time bonuses. They're not like these ones. These ones are scoring phase bonuses. These are one-time bonus. So they work sort of the same way. So the arrows point to 2 cars, but the requirement is actually the cart behind it. All right, so for example, this one says, have a level 1 here or here, and then the bonus is upgrading the following one afterwards. So let's say this one was upgraded. All right, so this mechanism would trigger for the top part because it says here, have a level 0, have a level 1 and turn it into, have a level 1 before it here. And then the arrow says get a free upgrade on the one afterwards. So I get an upgrade here. And then the top part would have been triggered. Now the bottom part is until I do the exact same thing, until this turns into a 1, and then I'll trigger the bottom part, which would turn this into a 1. So it's sort of a 2-step process for these mechanisms. The requirements are the left hand card, and the bonus is going to affect the right hand card. Now for this whole card, it does not matter where the conductor is on the train. The conductor only matters for the switches. Now for both of these type of cards, there's an interesting rule that at any point you can actually replace them. Alright, so in the future, if I picked up a different mechanism here, I can actually lay it on top of a mechanism that I already had. Well, more specifically, I take this card, add it to my discard pile, and replace it with a new card. And you can do the same thing with a switch. For example, if I picked up this card and I didn't like this switch anymore, I can sort of flip it up. Alright, the one thing you can't do is add it in between 2. You can't sort of cover up half a card. You have to fill up the whole card or not. And those are all the modules. All right, I'm not going to talk about the promo ones that I sort of have, but I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if I made any mistakes. Click on the link below for the playthrough and review. Remember, 3 things before we go. Like, subscribe, and comment on my YouTube channel. That'll be fantastic. Have a good one, folks.